Hello race fans, and welcome to Race Talk of Big Easy Motorsports. I'm your host Richard Long, and this week we are talking about our new show here on the Lanterns Network with and going live this Saturday, August the 6th from 7 to 12 p.m. over at the LA36 Speedway in Lacombe, Louisiana. If you're not familiar with that track, currently the reigning points leader in the late crate model NESMITH series is the leading points leader over at LA36 Speedway. So the national points leader as well as the track points leader in the NESMITH late crate model series is the guy who is the man to beat actually over at LA36 Speedway. And if you want to see some great racing, that is over at in Lacombe, Louisiana on LA36. If you put it into your GPS, you're going to find it'll probably show up as St. Tammany Speedway. That was the old name for the track a couple of years ago, and then it shut down. And after it shut down, it was reopened by a few guys that have been friends in racing for years. They've raced and competed against each other, and they've been, friends for many years. And they decided that they wanted to own this racetrack since it had closed down. And so what they've done is they've leased it from the current owner of the track, and it's my understanding that if everything works out good at LA36 Speedway, and if, in my opinion, if it keeps going the way it is, then they will have the opportunity to purchase that racetrack as well as the adjacent land around it and develop it into a lot nicer facility than what it is now, which, for Saturday night dirt track racing out in the country and a few guys that's in their first year. There's actually 3 of them in it together, and for them to be in their first year of owning the racetrack and not necessarily competing at a racetrack as race car drivers over the years, those guys have done a great job with that facility and fixing some of the things up that needed to be fixed up, as well as getting the track into a shape that is race ready week in and week out. I know for a fact that the first few months that they were there, they couldn't find or exactly get a grip on the track itself. So they had problems with grooves being cut into the track as the race went on. Sometimes it was too wet, sometimes it was too dry, and they were, grading the dirt, cutting it in different times of weeks and trying to find out, anything that they could to get that track into shape. And from what I understand, I had to I missed about 2 months worth of racing over there over these summer months. I had some family affairs to take care of back home in South Carolina, where I'm originally from, which is, everybody knows that the Carolinas are pretty much racing country. We've got, dirt tracks, asphalt tracks, all kind of different tracks and all kind of different series that run in the Carolinas just about year round, from April till, mid-November. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know years ago, Myrtle Beach Speedway used to have a race over there in late November. It was, something for like a winter race or something like that, they would call it, but it was actually in late November. And in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that's not really a time for harsh weather. I know growing up there over the years, I spent many a time walking around in shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops at Thanksgiving. Actually, I've done it at Christmas and New Year's. So, the weather's not that harsh compared to what it would be up north at that time of the year. But we're going to talk a little bit about LA36 Speedway, and we've got the opportunity here with the Lanterns Network to be able to broadcast live from LA36 Speedway and keep you informed on all the action over there. And for this message, and for the listeners who may be listening throughout the country, if you know some people that do dirt track racing, are involved in the late crate models, or in the NESMITH, any of the NESMITH divisions, pretty much, LA36 Speedway has got 6 different classes that they run week in and week out, and then sometimes they'll let a class take a week off. I think a couple weeks ago they let the late models, the Outlaws, take a week off, is who took off, and they brought in some 4-cylinder modifieds. And they're not opposed to. I like the little 4-cylinder modifieds. They seem to be a good fan attraction, and people like to watch those cars race. And I think that over at LA36 Speedway, if they got enough of the 4-cylinder modifieds that wanted to come and race there week in and week out, they would possibly add another class to the field and make it a field of 7 classes over there at LA36 Speedway. So they've got that opportunity to grow and expand over there, and I hope that within the future that I can possibly become a part of that race facility with those guys, and that we can go and expand and grow. And we've talked about a few different things and ideas that I've got and they've got about expanding the facility and not making it just a regular dirt track, but making it a motorsports park. There is room there to grow, and that's an opportunity that we think we'll try to take advantage of, is having enough room to grow and be able to do what we want to do over at LA36 Speedway. With that in mind, last week they had a race over at LA36 Speedway. It was in the Late Crate Model Series. And give me just a second and I'll pull it up here and see if I can't find out a little bit more. I was over there, but I didn't take many notes, and that's bad on my part, just because of the fact that I should have been taking better notes while I was over there. But the fact of the matter is, I was watching some great racing. I really was, and those guys, they done a great job putting on a show over there last weekend, and that opportunity that they had to put that race on over there, it was absolutely great. It was just absolutely wonderful, and like I said, it was some great racing over there at LA36 Speedway. So I'm going now here, and I'm going to look at some of the information from the track over at LA36 Speedway. And for those of you who don't know where that's at, or if you hadn't heard me mention it yet so far, it's over at it's in Lacombe, Louisiana, and that's just above. It's, I would say, in relation to the state, it takes me about 45 minutes. I live in New Orleans, so it takes me about 45 minutes to get over to LA36 Speedway, and it's north of New Orleans. If you go up I-10 and get on I-12, it's off of I-12 about 3 miles, maybe 4 miles down in the woods. But it's a great facility over there, and great to watch that racing series that goes on over there. So I pulled up their website. They got a website on. They got a Facebook page, and it's LA36 Speedway on Facebook. So you can go to it and you can take a look at it, and we can see, you can see pretty much everything that I'm getting ready to talk about here, as well as any more updates that they're going to be doing is available here on their Facebook page, as far as last week's winners and things like that in the different divisions that they run over there. And yeah, here we go. The limited modified shootout is what they had last weekend, and in that race, it was, normally these races they have a race like this for each division every so often. It's usually like once a month or once every 6 weeks or so. They'll have a race where the purse is $1,000 to win in that division. So they've done a couple of these races already this year, and this past weekend over at LA36 Speedway, the limited modified shootout is what they had over there. And Harahan Body Shop over in Harahan, Louisiana, that is just outside of New Orleans. It's a little suburb of New Orleans. But they pitched in an extra $1,000. And so that brought the purse up to $2,000 to win for the limited modified shootout that they had this past weekend at LA36 Speedway. And this race was a really, really good race. They had 19 cars that entered the race, and this little track it done a good job at handling those 19 cars, and you know, the finishing results was great. Actually, the points leader, Michael Santangelo, he is from Santangelo's Collision Repair as well as Harahan Body Shop. He's actually involved with the Harahan Body Shop. He won the race, led from the pole, was the fastest qualifier. He just, I mean, he's got that track figured out over there at LA36 Speedway, and he runs good every week when he goes over there. I have seen, I think one time he had some problems over there. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, as a matter of fact, he was running by himself, and I don't know what happened, but he spun out coming between the third and fourth turn, and wasn't able to get it back on the track. He had a big enough lead. If he could have got back on the track, they still wouldn't have caught him, but he wound up having a flat tire, and when he spun out, so you know, that pretty much ended his night there. But other than that, when he goes over there and runs at LA36 Speedway, he runs at the front. He's usually the fastest qualifier. And earlier this year, there was another gentleman that was in the NESMITH Street Stock Division, and his name was Mickey Trosclair, and he was running and winning every race over there. And so they went and put a bounty out on his head for $500, which was a progressive bounty. Basically, they started out with, if you beat him in the first race that the bounty started, you would get an extra $100, and that progressed up to $500. So if he wasn't beat within the next 5 weeks of racing, then they would give Mickey Trosclair the $500 bounty that was on his head, and that would be the end of that. Well, I stepped in with Big Easy Motorsports, and I added a caveat to that. And that caveat was that if Mickey Trosclair won the next 5 races, I would give him an extra $500 on top of the $500 that LA36 Speedway was going to give him. So that opportunity was there for Mickey, and it went through 2 races. The week of the third race, some guys had dialed their cars in, got those cars tuned up, and they wound up coming back. And the third race of the week, Shannon Lee, I think was the gentleman. I can't remember right there. No, excuse me, I'm sorry, Nicholas Sellier took the win from Mickey Trosclair, and he collected the bounty of, if I'm not mistaken, it was $200 or $300. I think it was $300. He collected that bounty above the winning purse that he won that night. And so far, we haven't had another bounty come out on a driver because there hasn't been another dominant driver in any divisions like there normally is. So with that being said, Michael Santangelo and the domination that he showed over there in the last few weeks at LA36 Speedway, you know, it may be time to start looking at possibly putting a bounty on his head, and I'm going to talk to the ownership or the guys over at LA36 Speedway, and I'm going to see about doing something with them. I'm going to find out a little bit more information exactly how many races that Michael Santangelo has won over at LA36 Speedway in that limited modified series. And if it gets to be, if he's won, 5 or 6 races in a row, and it seems to be a little carried away, then we're probably gonna put a bounty out on him and go from there and see what he can do about winning the next 5 races. But that's an opportunity that he'll have. I'll give to him, depending on what the track wants to do, and we'll go from there. The NESMITH series is the division that runs over at LA36 Speedway. They've got a street stock division, they've got a late crate model division, and they have got a, if I'm not mistaken, they've got one other. The NESMITH street stock, the NESMITH late crate model, and I'm looking here trying to figure out the UMP modified series they've got over there. That runs over at LA36 Speedway. So that's another division that they've got over there. But if you want to find out more, you can go to LA36 Speedway and check out their Facebook page, or you can go to LA36Speedway.com and check out their website. And they've got a lot of different results and things that they've got going on over there. If you like some good racing, you happen to be in the area, I don't know, if you come to New Orleans and you want to, you're here on vacation, or you're here over the weekend, just checking out the sights and scenes, and you're looking for something to do on a Saturday night. Like I said, it's only about 45 minutes away from New Orleans. You can grab you an Uber and take it over to LA36 Speedway and get those guys to drop you off over there and then pick you up later that night. Or if there's a possibility that maybe I'd be able to take some guests with me from New Orleans that comes into town, and you'd be able to ride over with me, and then whenever I finish up and come back to New Orleans, I could drop you off, and that would give you an experience while you're in New Orleans to be able to see some great local short track, dirt track racing that you don't get to see everywhere, especially in these parts on the southern part of down in southeast Louisiana, around New Orleans and Belle Chase and Lafitte and places like that they really don't have any tracks down that way. Everything's pretty much either you have to go west toward Baton Rouge, or you have to go north up, like I said, LA36 Speedway. And that's the great thing about LA36 Speedway too, is it's a track that's centrally located. So it's not so far into the center of the state of Louisiana that you have to travel very far to get to it from Mississippi or Alabama, but yet it's also far enough within the state that if you're coming from the eastern part of Texas, or you're coming from western Baton Rouge or western Louisiana, you can come and you can be at LA36 Speedway and race over there, and you'll be able to drive back home that night, and it's not too far out of the way. Or if you want to, you can make a weekend trip of it. You can go over and race at LA36 Speedway, and then possibly go down to New Orleans and visit and take in some of the atmosphere. It's football season's getting ready to kick off, so you may be able to put that together with a football game and go see some great racing on a Saturday night. Go watch the New Orleans Saints beat up on somebody on a Sunday afternoon, and just make a great weekend of it, and then take off and go back home, and that way you'd have a great weekend to be able to enjoy yourself and do something besides not necessarily having to go to a bar and get drunk and things like that. Just to think that you're having a good time, because this dirt track racing over at LA36 is some great dirt track racing. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to be broadcasting live the race events here on the Lanterns Network coming this Saturday night. That's August the 6th, starting at 7 p.m. and running through until 12 p.m. and hopefully we'll be finished up by 12 p.m. We may go on the air just a little bit later. We will start recording the show at 7 just because I want to have it on the air. But if you log in on the Lanterns Network and you go to Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports, come on over. If you don't hear us live there at the 7 o'clock hour, because this is our first opportunity that we're taking to do this. I'm not exactly sure what time the racing is going to start, and so we're not going to do the whole qualifying session and everything. We're just going to do actually the race broadcast. So hopefully that'll be started by 8. It can be over by 12, and you'll get the opportunity to see all that as it comes on live on the Lanterns Network here on Spreaker. But hopefully once we get this thing going, we're going to be able to reach out and partner up with the iHeart Network and put this on some iHeart radio stations and be able to reach even more people. But right now we're looking to build this program. Now, some of the sponsors that we've got coming on board with us, of course, is my company itself, Big Easy Motorsports. And what we are is we dub ourselves as a marketing and advertising company for small businesses. And basically that's for those small businesses that want to get involved in NASCAR but don't have that, multi-million-dollar budget such as a Lowe's or maybe one of the other companies like Dollar General or FedEx or, one of those companies have. So we're taking the opportunity here to bring our company with Big Easy Motorsports, and we're going to be a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race team. And with that race team, we're going to give you, the small business owner, the opportunity to come in and you can buy a race by yourself if you want to do that. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, we do 23 races, 19 different venues. 18 of those venues are in the United States. One of those venues is the road course that's up in Canada. So you'll have the opportunity to come in and come on board and advertise your company, and we'll be able to do that for you, not only through those 19 venues that we race at, which I need to let you know, all of our races in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, they are live. They are broadcast live on Fox Sports 1, as well as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race practices and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying sessions. All of that stuff is TV that you don't have to pay extra for when you advertise with Big Easy Motorsports, because it's all included. We're going to be a race team that's going to be out there racing. So when we get ready to qualify, when we're out there in a practice session and running around the racetrack, you can look on, you can tune in to Fox Sports and you'll be able to see your company logo running around the racetrack on our truck with us. And if you're one of the smaller sponsors, maybe your logo placement isn't quite as big as you'd like for it to be, but there's going to be multiple opportunities there for your logo to be seen on national television with Big Easy Motorsports as your partner in marketing and advertising. Also, another thing that we've got going on that we're going to be doing that other race teams in NASCAR, and that's whether it's in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, whether it's in the NASCAR Xfinity Series or whoever it may be, even in the NASCAR Wheeling Modified Series and the ARCA Series for that racing division. All of these teams, they put your logo on their car and they mention your name if they win a race or if they're in the top 5 and they're interviewed. A lot of times that's their job is to mention the sponsors and to get the sponsor's name known out there, and that's what we do, and that's what all the teams will do. But one of the advantages we've got that no other team does is the fact that here in the greater New Orleans area, we've got millions, and when I say millions, I mean millions of visitors that visit New Orleans every year. Whether they come here for Mardi Gras, whether they come here for the NBA basketball games, whether they're here for the NFL football games. January we have the All-State Sugar Bowl, which everybody knows that's one of the big bowl games, the premier bowl games each and every year in college football. We also hold music festivals. I mean, all the time here in the greater New Orleans area. One of them is Voodoo Fest. That comes in October. We've got the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. That's in late April, early May. And don't be fooled by the name of that New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, because there are some really big stars that come and perform it live at that event. It's over actually, I think it's about I guess you would call it a 7-day event, maybe an 8-day event. It starts on, if I'm not mistaken, it starts on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the last weekend of April, and then it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the first weekend of May. So you've got 2 weekends, and they're big weekends, and there are superstars. And just to name a few that I know that have been there, you've got people like Kish, you've got Kid Rock, you've got Pitbull, you've got all different kind of superstars that perform at these events. I think it was last year. It may have been the year before last. It was Lady Gaga with Tony Bennett, and they performed together. It's just a great event that showcases some of the most popular superstars that you hear on the radio today, and that's through all cultures and all genres. They have country music there, they have jazz there, they have rappers there, they have pop stars, R&B, whatever you're looking for, they're all there at the Jazz and Heritage Festival, as well as at the New Orleans at the Voodoo Festival that they have Halloween weekend over at City Park. That is another big event that brings in megastars. I know Ozzy Osbourne's performed at that. Kiss has been at that event. Sting, the Police, just all the big stars that you hear of, like I said, on the radio, from today's superstars to years gone by superstars. All of those guys are here. They're all performing live at these events. A couple of years ago, and if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look it up, but if I'm not mistaken, it's in early October, just across the river in Gretna, Louisiana, which is, like I said, if you could throw a rock across the river, you'd throw it from New Orleans and hit Gretna. You can take a ferry over to Gretna and be able to go over there. But they have what they call the Gretna Heritage Festival, and they have superstars at that event as well, just like the Voodoo Fest, just like the Jazz and Heritage Festival. So you've got that, along with all the sporting events that we've got going on here in the greater New Orleans area, with the NFL, with the NBA, with college, the NCAA football tournament, which the All-State Sugar Bowl is part of. You've got that looking out, being one of the things. You've also got the R&L Carriers Bowl, which is another bowl game that's for some of the lower division schools. UL Lafayette, if I'm not mistaken, is one of them. That they perform in that bowl, quite often, because they are actually quite a good team. But there's that bowl. There's the bowl between Grambling and Southern University that comes every year and is held here in New Orleans, and they have that big battle of the bands. And if you want to see some great marching bands for that weekend, you can come out and see Grambling against Southern University, the Jaguars, and watch some great bands put on some great shows, because those guys and those bands, they are really, really great performers. And they started doing that years and years and years ago, and now you hear about bands like I hear on different outlets of broadcasting that the possibility that Ohio State has one of the great performing bands in college football. Well, all that started with these bands like Southern and Grambling, who stepped up the game many years ago and put on performances. They didn't just go out and play music. They actually put on a performance while they were playing. And if it's something that you've never seen, I encourage you, come on down to Louisiana, and that's something that you'll be able to see. And the great part about it is, over at LA36 Speedway, we'll be racing over there on Saturday night. So you can come over, you can watch some football over, and watch those bands perform and things like that. And then you can come on over to LA36 Speedway and watch some racing with us. So there's lots of things to do, but we encourage you to whatever you do, if you make plans to come to New Orleans, come on out, make your plans to go and do what you want to do in the city, whether it's see a football game or come participate in Mardi Gras or whatever it may be. And also make plans to come over to LA36 Speedway and be a part of that, because that's some great racing action that a lot of places in the country, you don't have. And I can attest to that from experience myself, because like I said, coming from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I could pretty much pick up a rock and throw it and I'd hit a racetrack somewhere, around the area and be able to drive to either a dirt track or an asphalt track or something. And if I was out of town, maybe visiting family up in North Carolina, I still had that opportunity, because there's racetracks everywhere. That's where NASCAR was basically born and bred, is right there in the Carolinas. And that's what I took for granted pretty much all my life, was getting up and going and seeing a race on a Saturday night, or going somewhere like Darlington or Rockingham or Charlotte, or those kind of racetracks and things like that, and being able, or just being able to jump on 95. I'd run down to Daytona and I'd watch the race down at Speed Weeks at Daytona or wherever it may be. But that's something I took for granted. And when I moved over to Louisiana, February will be 8 years I've been here. I come right after Mardi Gras in 2009 and just before St. Patrick's Day. And I got to mention real quick, if you've never been to a St. Patrick's Day parade in New Orleans, folks, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, I expected, for Mardi Gras it to be wild and crazy and carried away. I really expected that to happen. But what I did not expect was a St. Patrick's Day in the fashion of a Mardi Gras Day parade. I got the surprise of my life the first time I went to a St. Patrick's Day parade. It was on, like I said, I came here right after Mardi Gras in 2009, just before St. Patrick's Day, and I think like a week later was St. Patrick's Day, so I went out and enjoyed the parade. Everybody told me, that I had talked to while I had come here. As I got here, they told me, yeah, go down to Old Metairie Road and line up there. It'll be great. They throw cabbage, they throw potatoes, they throw carrots, they throw onions, they throw all kinds of food products at you. I couldn't believe it. I was astonished and amazed at the parade itself, and it floored me. It really did. So if you got the opportunity and you miss Mardi Gras, or you can't come to Mardi Gras for Mardi Gras week and the celebrations, come for St. Patrick's Day. I'm telling you, it is an experience like you will never ever experience anywhere else in the country, and it was absolutely great. I loved it. I really did. But anyway, getting back to where we were and talking about the opportunity to be able to come and enjoy New Orleans and enjoy the festivals and events they've got, to mention, they've got French Quarter Fest. There's a lot of musicians at that. They've got Bastille Day. They've got they've got Satchmo Fest. They've got just a whole lineup of festivals year round. Now, during the summer, they do have a tendency to cut back a little bit on the festivals. They have something going on every weekend, but it's not as big as the spring and the fall festivals, and that's just because of it being so hot here in New Orleans. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, and I was a buddy had texted me and asked me if I would go and help him fix his truck. He was having some mechanical issues with it, and I said sure, and that's no problem. So I hopped in the truck and I headed over to his place, and I happened to be looking up at my mirror, and I've got one of those thermometers that's, in the mirror. A lot of people are familiar with those. It tells you the temperature outside. It was 106 degrees, and I was like, oh my God. So it took me a little while. I wound up putting a starter on his truck for him and changing his plugs and his wires and getting him going and everything. But it took a while. By the time I got the part, I put a starter on. The new starter that I put on was bad, so I had to take it back to the parts store and get another new starter, and I went and put it back on. And so anyway, by the time I got done with that, it was about, it was 7 o'clock. And it had cooled down considerably, but it was still like 90-some degrees outside. So you can understand why during the summer months they will cut back on, the length of the festivals. They still do have them going on every weekend and week out, but they just cut back on the length of them, and a lot of them they do it, in the evening and night hours where it's not so hot, after it starts to cool off after that 4 or 5 o'clock hour during the summer. Because it still stays dark here till 8:30, 9 o'clock, during those summer hours. So that's an opportunity that they take to do some of that and do it during those night hours and the weekends. The actual biggest festival that we have during the summer months is on the July 4th weekend, and I don't know how I forgot to mention this, but that's Essex Festival. And there are, superstars that come to that. Beyonce and Usher and those folks, those R&B superstars, they're all here for Essex Festival over the 4th of July weekend. And then after that 4th of July weekend and Essex Festival, that's when they have the opportunity that they start taming back the festivals, although they do have them week in and week out. But that gives people the opportunity to take off and go to LA36 Speedway and be able to watch some racing on Saturday nights. They open the gates at 5, and the reason they do that is so that it starts cooling off even a little bit more. It's still hot out there. The sun's still up pretty high, and if you go out at 4 o'clock like they used to open the gates, then you wind up having a problem with the sun baking you and everything else. So they open at 5. The admission is $5 for children. I think that's under 12, and it is $10 for adults. If you want to go into the pits, it's $25 for a pit pass, but you must be 14 years of age and older to get into the pits. And that's not their doing. The people that they actually lease the racetrack from at this point in time, while they contemplate on whether they want to exercise their option to buy the property, that's in the lease agreement that nobody under the age of 14 is allowed into the pits. So with that, that's your prices. Now on special event nights where they have $1,000 to win, the adult price is $15. The child price is, I think, $8, and it's $35 to get into pits for those nights when they had special events like $1,000 to win, like they had this past weekend over at LA36 Speedway. So if you want to do anything with sponsorship with Big Easy Motorsports, we'd be more than glad to have you. We encourage you to look us up. And go to our Facebook page. It's Big Easy Motorsports on Facebook, and check us out there. And you can also call me. My number is 504-217-1000. I'll be glad to send you any information that you're looking for. in order to make an informed decision about what you get, because we've got a list, a huge list of activities that we'll be doing to promote your race team just here in New Orleans alone. We've got a show truck we're getting ready to roll out, and that show truck will have all of our sponsors on it that are going to be participating with us throughout the year. So you not only get the opportunity to be seen on national television through the practices, through the qualifying sessions, and through the races on Fox Sports 1, but you also get the opportunity of being shown throughout the city and the region of New Orleans on our show truck that, like I said, will be touted around it. So all these sporting events that I mentioned earlier about the NFL and the NBA and the NCAA and the different events such as Jazz Fest and Voodoo Fest and Essex Festival and Gretna Fest, all the festivals that we've got going on here in New Orleans, our race truck is going to be at those festivals somewhere, so that the fans that come to those, the tourists that come and visit New Orleans, even in Mardi Gras, you're going to be displayed. You're going to be on display with all of those fans, to all of those fans, I should say. So that's an opportunity to get your name out there. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, the Marketing and Tourism Commission said that there was approximately 13 million visitors that came into the city of New Orleans itself, and so that's the opportunity to get your name out there and get the exposure that you'll not get anywhere else. And like I said, the prices are very, very affordable, and we'll work with you on a budget to be able to put you on our race truck and get you that exposure you're looking for, if you're a national company trying to reach out and be a part of it. As well as we got the opportunity to get you some passes to the races for your employees and yourself. We have the opportunity to get you some pit passes so you can join us on the race box, on the pit box as we're running the race at the different venues, and those venues that we're talking about are not little short tracks, and that most people think about when I talk about LA36 Speedway. This is in very marketable areas throughout the country. NASCAR puts these race events on. We do Chicago, we do Texas, over at Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway. We do Atlanta, we do Daytona, we do Miami. It's California, it's up in the Northeast, up in the New Hampshire area. So those opportunities for your exposure in those large market areas are there in the Truck Series, year in and year out. So if that's something you're looking forward to, is becoming a part of a NASCAR race team, but you don't think that you have the budget to do it, like I said, give me a call, 504-217-1000. That's my direct line. That's my cell number. If I don't answer, because a lot of times I may be in a meeting, or I also restore classic cars and trucks, so I may be working in the shop doing that. If whatever the opportunity may be, if you give us a call and you want to do some advertising and marketing with Big Easy Motorsports and our race team, then we'll be more than glad to talk to you about it. I'll be more than happy to call you back. Just like I said, if I don't answer the phone, or if I don't pick up, or if it goes to voicemail right away, then I'm probably either on the other line or working on something else. But go ahead, leave me that message, leave me your phone number, and just, it don't have to be a brief description. Just call me and say, I'm looking to do some advertising and sponsorship. I like the idea of being in a large market like New Orleans, as well as having my company, over on these other large markets throughout the country, and being able to showcase my product, or being able to showcase my country, or whatever company or whatever it may be. You've got the opportunity to do that. We're also in the process of trying to put together a Trump for President truck. So if you're looking at possibly, if you want to support Donald Trump through the last half of the NASCAR race season, and you want to come on board and help us by funding Trump for president, give us a call. Like I said, 217-1000, area code 504-217-1000. That's the number. Give me a call, and let's go ahead and see if we can't get a Donald Trump race truck out there on the track. There was a young man earlier this year that was racing, and for a couple of races, he didn't have a sponsor to put on his truck, but he did race, and so he put Trump for president on his truck. And we'd like to continue and carry that on and put that race truck out there so that everybody can see that, we support Donald Trump for president. We don't need another 4 years of the Barack Obama agenda, and I don't look forward to another 4 years of that agenda. It's brought this country, down to a disparaging crisis that we see. Whenever you see mass killings of people in the streets and mass people, or somebody, killing multiple police officers at one time, that's unprecedented in this country. And that has happened in the last 8 years of Barack Obama's reign and terror on this country. And so that's something that needs to be, thought about very, very much. And you need to make sure that if we're going to do this, we need to do this, and we need to put the right man in office for the job. And there's a lot of people out there say, well, Donald Trump doesn't have any experience being a president, and he don't. But Barack Obama had no experience either, and I'm still trying to figure out how that happened, other than, a bunch of idiots voted the man in office because he was black, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's the only reason he got voted into office, is because he was a black man. And so there is that. That's what happened, and you see where it's led us today. If it would have been a gentleman, like Herman Cain, or maybe Alan West, or somebody along that line, I believe that we could have had a president that would have raced, or not raced, but run this country and done a great job at it. So with that being said, I asked you to come in and help us support Donald Trump for president. Hopefully he can get a couple of these guys to come on, and be a part of his cabinet when he gets elected president, and we can get this country straightened out and get it pointed back in the right direction. And it's been veering off course for many years now, and in the last 8 years it didn't even veer off course. It just took a sharp left turn and away it went. And I don't feel like we'll be able to sustain that much longer, and be able to put it, put the opportunity there to correct it and correct the course of this country if we keep Hillary Clinton in office. So, help us support that. Again, my name is Richard Long. This is Race Talk Live with Big Easy Motorsports, and with this, we'll be, trying to put together a truck that supports Donald Trump for president to race in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We hope that you'll help us with that support, and if you will, we'll be putting up a PayPal and a GoFundMe site to support Donald Trump for president with our race team. So if that opportunity, if you'll go to it and you'll listen and keep listening, we'll post it on our Facebook page at Big Easy Motorsports, or you can go to my Facebook page, Richard Long, and you'll be able to see where you can go to support our efforts to help elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States and get our ship, turned in the right direction and back on its course. But we hope to hear from you. We hope that some people will call in with us on Saturday night over at LA36 Speedway, and we look forward to talking to you guys later in the future. This has been Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports. Everybody have a great week and enjoy the weather.